thing comes back, we need to be ready for it. You understand?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 horror film Monster Island, or it's also known as Orang Ikan. The film is written and directed by Mike Wooleyan, and it stars Dean Fujioka and Callum Woodhouse. Now the film is it's set during the Second World War. There is a ship, a Japanese ship. We've got prisoners of war on this ship. It ends up basically being sunk, and washing up on the shore of this island are two prisoners. You have Sato and Bronson. So Bronson is like an English soldier, and Sato is like a Japanese prisoner of war, and they are chained together on this island. So initially they are wondering how they're going to survive, and then almost immediately they are attacked by some creature. So they realize very, very quickly that they have to work together in order to survive, and essentially get off this island alive, and they come to a realization that they're going to have to destroy the creature in order to survive the island itself. So what are my thoughts on Monster Island? Well, this is a Shudder film. This is one that I didn't really know a great deal about. I saw a trailer for it fairly recently, and I thought it looked pretty cool. You know, a classic creature feature type thing, with some really quite cool effects for the creature. It's got a very old-fashioned look and feel about it in regards to the story and the creature itself. It looks very much like, you know, creatures that you've seen back in the 40s and the 50s, like Creature from the Black Lagoon thing. They've definitely taken inspiration from that, and I thought the effects for the creature, excuse me, were very good indeed. Very, very impressive and very effective. Now, this I think is for some people not going to be, I suppose it depends what kind of film goer you are. You're a patient film goer in a sense, because, you know, it's fairly slowly paced. I mean, they're not battling this creature every single scene that they're in. There's quite a lot of dialogue, and the problem is, well, not for me, but the problem is maybe for some of you, is that this is half subtitled and half English speaking. So every time Bronson, the English speaker, speaks, obviously it's in English. When Sato speaks, it's in Japanese. So they've got this kind of, they have to kind of get this understanding between them, and they become very, very close friends. It actually reminded me very, very much of an 80s science fiction film of a similar vein called Enemy Mine, with Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. Very, very similar concept. They crash land on a planet, and they have to learn, they are enemies, and they have to learn to kind of work together to survive, and they become great friends. So there are very, very strong similarities between those two films, and if you haven't seen Enemy Mine, I do strongly recommend it. I think some of the issues I think I have with this is the pacing at times, I think, is a little bit slow. But it's all, and I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like most films, a lot of these films these days, they're just too dark. It's like they don't want to light anything anymore. There's quite a lot of night scenes in this, you know, where whatever it is they may be doing, but even when they're being like attacked by the creature and stuff and it's night, it just wasn't particularly well lit, and you couldn't see a great deal. You could hear a lot, but you couldn't see a great deal. And I don't know if this is a new trend, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it does seem like filmmakers these days are just like, sod it, I ain't lighting this. So therefore you're kind of guessing what's going on for the most part. You can see shapes moving about, but not a great deal else. And I personally find that incredibly frustrating. It's a new trend that I don't like, and I'm seeing it more and more in movies. I don't know if it's a budget thing or what, or if they're hiding the effects, or what it is. I don't care. Please light it better than what you are doing, filmmakers. But this is a solid monster film outing, really, with a international feel to it. You know what I mean? It feels at times really highly polished and big budgeted at times, and then at other times it feels a very small and independent film. And it's got very strong performances by both the central characters here, both the central actors, I mean. Dean Fujioka and Callum Woodhouse playing Bronson and Sato. You know, it's good performances by them, especially when you consider that of the language barrier and all this kind of stuff. And so it's an effective film, but beyond that, I think it's also one of those that I think could have been better. It's quite a small scale in its thought patterns. Like I say, you've just got these two guys. I mean, there are other people on the island that you know, for whatever reason, end up on the island with them. But they're basically then just become you know, snacks for the creatures. Really, they're not really there for any other reason than just being there as cannon fodder for these creatures. So if you like, you know, nicely made, fairly polished, like monster movies with good effects for the monster for the most part, with an interesting premise, you know, with like this, you know, almost foreign film approach to it, which essentially it is. It's a foreign film really, but they've just plonked Callum Woodhouse in here as Bronson, so it's got, you know, a bit of relatability, I suppose, to kind of make it a bit more realistic in regards to, you know, obviously the Japanese, how they treat their prisoners of war and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I had a pretty good time with this one. I don't think it's anything particularly special or memorable or anything like that. I think Shudder, for the most part, do a good job in delivering, you know, original horror movies, and this is another one that they can chalk up. I enjoy watching their movies for the most part. I do think they deliver pretty decent quality horror movies. Not all of them, but a good portion of them I enjoy watching. So I'm going to give this one a fairly solid 6 out of 10. It could have been better. I think they could have given us more. I think they could have shown us more. But it's a fairly simple, basic film that does everything pretty well. So it's slightly above average in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on Monster Island. Let me know your thoughts if you've seen it, and I will of course be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.